Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Tuesday, September 27th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Around 130,000 Nova Scotians are still in the dark after Hurricane Fiona swept through the province. Depending on where you are, the storm paints a very different picture. Some areas of HRM have been untouched, while others are very much in need of cleanup, and residents without power are doing what they can to get by on little resources.
Right now, I'm not doing so good because it's been 4 days and I'm by myself. I don't have anybody really to come check on me to see if I'm okay. I lost about $150 worth of food. I end up throwing it all out. So, and that's just in the freezer. So other than that, I haven't eaten in 4 days.
A press conference was held by the province today with officials who are helping with the aftermath.
Just wanted to give everyone some information in regards that we are looking to bringing more people in. They are presently en route, so there are more technicians and people coming to Nova Scotia to assist. And then applications for support that the Premier announced will be available later this week, and those will be readily available through Nurse Service Nova Scotia on various websites.
And HRM is offering drinking water for those dealing with the wrath of Hurricane Fiona, and water issues. Affected residents across the municipality can access drinkable water at these facilities. Each household will receive 2 liters per person per day, as well as 1 liter per day per pet. Residents can collect 1 week's supply at a time. Comfort centers have been open across the province to give people without power some food, water, and a chance to charge up devices. Here's a look at some of the places open here in HRM. Meantime, a similar story in Truro at the Rath Eastlink Centre turned Comfort Centre. That centre received an anonymous donation of $1,000 today to buy more food. And that's where we find our SaltWire host, Scott Squires, who's on the ground for us today. Scott.
Thanks, Kate. The Rath Eastlink Community Centre in Truro, Nova Scotia is typically used for sports and entertainment, but right now it's being used to comfort the community. Director of Partnerships and Communications Michael Smith says the decision to open to the public was easy.
We're a community centre and we're here for the community in the end, and we've had a long-standing agreement with both the town and the county to be here in times of crisis. So our proximity to the hospital and our ability to be able to take in large amounts of people and help when in need. That's what we're here for. So we're just happy to be able to do that for everybody. And I think there's no better time to come to the aid of the community than now after this terrible hurricane that swept through.
And for local residents like Erica Lothers, the decision to come to the Rath Eastlink Centre was twofold.
I work from home and I have no power, no Wi-Fi, and I need to be connected. I just had a conference call here a little while ago. And my kids are going crazy from not having Wi-Fi also. So with no school, no power, we're here taking advantage of the internet, and it felt like a good place to come to just get away from the darkness, come somewhere that's warm and lit up, and a little bit of community around.
For more information about the Rath Eastlink Centre and when it will be open as a comfort centre, you can visit them online. In Truro, I'm Scott Squires for the SaltWire Network.
In Antigonish, the volunteer fire department has opened its doors for people seeking refuge after the storm that hit hard across the county. SaltWire's Aaron Beswick has more on the hall that's been converted to a warming shelter.
With power out throughout much of northeastern Nova Scotia, volunteers have been stepping up. The Antigonish County Volunteer Fire Department is one of many departments that have hastily converted their halls into warming shelters.
At the current moment, due to the hurricane or tropical storm which we had here, went through our area, we set up a comfort center in our hall where we're serving tea, coffee, sandwiches. We got numerous firefighters on hand here to give us a hand to do this stuff. It's many donations from the community. Local businesses have been donating coffee, donuts, cookies from Tim Hortons. This is great. Grocery stores, everything else. Sandwiches are basically made on site here, so we're trying that hand at that.
My name's Abby. I'm a university student, a fourth year student, and we are here to make sure we have good power and power, I'm not sure when it's going to be back. So I'm here getting coffee. My parents and just meeting the other people. It's great. Having the community feel like.
This is Aaron Beswick reporting for the SaltWire Network.
The former St. James United Church that has been a towering landmark for the community in Great Village for 139 years has been damaged by Hurricane Fiona. The steeple that marked home for mariners coming into the old shipbuilding community was tilted forward by heavy winds.
I was thinking, what a change. I've been an icon in the village on the corner there for so many years. And now we just opened, or just a restaurant was just supposed to open Friday night, this past Friday night. And I don't know what's going to happen with that.
The church has been renovated into a new restaurant called Angel's Diner. Owner Crystal Blair was dubbed the Trucker's Angel during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic when she opened the doors of the Glenholm Loop Petropass restaurant to provide showers and hot meals to the truck drivers who had to keep working. The broken steeple was to be brought down to the ground, one that carries many memories for Hatfield.
We crawled right up almost as far as you can go inside the steeple. It got pretty narrow, and we put our names in pencil on some boards up there. So I'm kind of hoping if they tear it down, I can get out there and maybe get the board with my name on it.
One saving grace was that there was no damage inside the church, and a generator has kept Blair's fridges and freezers running. Provincial funding for a local shelter is set to expire at the end of the month, leaving some with more questions than answers on where they'll go next. The Brunswick Street Mission emergency shelter could be closing its doors without financial aid from the province. The money for the shelter that takes in 25 people is set to expire by the end of this week, which means 68-year-old James Landry could be back sleeping on the streets of Halifax.
Today it's home to me. And
where's your home on Wednesday?
I need a home, but I don't have one anymore. So it's
perfect. Got tired of looking at that.
Really very difficult.
I bet you have.
To think about what could happen if this place should shut down. I'll have no home.
Another man who calls this place home says the shelter is a lifeline to some of the most vulnerable people in the city.
Funding is amazing and always appreciated, but the big issue is the current housing crisis. And it is a crisis.
The Nova Scotia government won't say whether it will continue funding the shelter past the end of this month. The Department of Community Services said last week that the province is working on finding a place to operate the shelter for the winter. The Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia estimates more than 680 people are homeless in the Halifax Regional Municipality. Many Nova Scotians are still without power, and there's concern over spoiled food and what options are available to eat when there's no electricity. I sat down with Wined and Dined host, resident sommelier and foodie Mark DeWolf for some insight into cooking without power. So thousands of people are still without power. Should they be worried about what's in their fridge?
Well, at this point, we're talking more than 72 hours since most people lost their power. So in reality, this is the time to be concerned. So usually we kind of say that what's in your fridge, you have a little more than 24 hours, in your freezer a little more than 48 hours. What you're really trying to get is make sure is that if you still have food in your freezer, that the temperature is below 4 degrees Celsius or about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. As it creeps above that temperature, that's when we get risk of bacteria. So things like milk and yogurt, dairy products, meat, this is unfortunately a time when you really have to be concerned for your health and concerned about who you're cooking for. And if they've gone over a couple hours above 4 degrees Celsius, then you have to kind of say, throw it out. So it's unfortunate. Thankfully, there's a little bit of a rebate with at least the Nova Scotia government to get $100 if you've been out of power for more than 48 hours. But I think safety first, and unfortunately, throw it out.
Okay, so pay attention to the temperature.
Totally. It's really based on the temperature and that, how bacteria can grow.
Okay, so the question that's on a lot of people's mind is, how do you cook without power?
Well, yeah, I think you just have to be creative and not be scared of how different ways to cook. We're very used to using ovens, but your barbecue can become a de facto oven, and you can do more than just grilling a steak or burgers on the barbecue. You can wrap vegetables in foil, fish in foil. Those can all be placed on the barbecue. So if you close the lid, it's a de facto oven. Even if you have a fireplace or a wood stove, just think back to our ancestors. Those are ways we cooked food before. You can, make a stew in your fireplace. Just get a Dutch oven out or a heavy pot, fill it with whatever you have, meat and some tomatoes, stock, throw it in there, and you can make it the old-fashioned way. So I think we just have to rethink that, cooking isn't just about an oven.
Okay, so get creative a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
All right. And what about people who have had to throw away some of their food? What do they do now?
I think this is the time when we really want to think about pantry, and this is a good indication of why we should have stocked up pantries. And again, it's thinking about our past too, and I think this is a good time where we should even support our local farmers, buying vegetables, pickling, doing things to preserve food, but also having just regular items on stock, beans and cans of tomato, pasta and rice, those kinds of things are great things to have on hand for these kind of situations. But also, like I said, I think we should be going out supporting local and pickling local vegetables, just like our grandparents would have done before.
Okay, and you have developed a recipe for us. So obviously a lot of people who don't have power may not see this, but they can head to the website later when they get power and maybe prepare for the next storm, or even just try it out at home when they do have power. So where can they find that?
Exactly. So find it on Wine and Dine. I'm just going to be making a no-cook meal featuring a lot of beans, legumes, olive oil and vinegar, creating and a little bit of canned fish, which is a great source of protein. We'll be putting together, and you'll be surprised how elegant a meal you could put together with what's in the cupboard.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Kate, and I'm glad to be here.
It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Professor Kevin Quigley about the response to Fiona.
Is it too soon to give a grade as to how the province has responded or prepared for this natural disaster?
It's hard to be even super critical at this stage because I think everybody's doing their best and they're putting their shoulder into it. And I think it's hard to actually be super critical, which is one of the tricky things about working in this area, Sheldon, that when the crisis is occurring, you want to be supportive, but there's got to be some sort of accounting afterwards too about, well, what happened? What did we do well? What did we not do well? How do we do better next time? We're on a hurricane path. These things are going to happen. We have to keep learning in a certain way and doing better. So in terms of grade, I would say, it's too early to talk about grade. We have to be transparent in our learning, I think, as we go forward. And that's going to have to happen. But right now it's about supporting people in this crisis and making sure we're giving aid to those people who need it, and also getting those power lines back up and that critical infrastructure functioning again.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of saltwire.com. On to weather now. Alistair Alders is off for the remainder of the week. We're going to have a look at our 7-day forecast. Mostly clouds on tap for the next few days, with temperatures hovering in the late teens. A little cooler on the weekend. It'll be dropping to 12 on Sunday and low teens to start next week. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to saltwire.com. And you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at SaltWire Today. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.